Hi everyone, Josh here, aka Beards and Books. Today I'm doing a comic book recommendation video for my fellow gamers. Hope you enjoy. So guys, hopefully you'll have seen I not too long ago did a couple of videos on indie comic book artists that I met at London Comic Con. Following on from that, I wanted to kind of carry on with the comic book recommendations. It's something that is becoming more and more popular on BookTube, and it's something I'm a massive fan of myself, hence the collection. So I wanted to share that with you. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to focus on recommendations for gamers. If you're like me and you like stories of all kinds, gaming is also a big part of my hobby life. So I wanted to share with you some of the comic books that I've read from the gaming world. So I've got 5 comics that I want to talk to you about and 3 mangas. I'm going to probably break these up into sections. I'll do any sort of horror based and anything along those lines separately to anything action based. You'll be able to tell quite quickly what these are about. They're all from main gaming stories and franchise, so let's have a look. I'm going to split the comic books and mangas just to make it a bit easier for me. You know what it's like, make life easier. And the first one that I'm going to talk to you about is The Last of Us, American Dreams. Now, The Last of Us, when it came out, was one of the best games I've ever played. It was super emotional. The action was brilliant. Naughty Dog absolutely smashed it. Most of you will be aware there's a DLC you can play where you play as Ellie, and it goes through her backstory and in terms of how she got the infection. This comic book is pretty much exactly the same. It touches on the DLC, it touches on Ellie's initial story with her best friend and how she becomes infected. It's just a great addition to the game. If you enjoyed The Last of Us, obviously the second game is coming out I think next year. This is a definite quick win pickup. It's a nice short comic, but there's more than enough going through. I'll show you a bit of the artwork just so you can see what you're working with. You can see it's very well done. And The Last of Us was just a great game. The series, obviously with the second one coming out, hopefully will hit the same levels, but this is a great addition for any Last of Us fans. Next up, still in its casing, is Mass Effect. So I am a big BioWare fan. I'm a big sci-fi fantasy fan in books, films, games, absolutely everything. So Mass Effect, at least the first 3, are games that I really enjoy. For any of you that don't know, Mass Effect is mainly a sci-fi genre game, sci-fi shooter, which is set in the future where humans have left the Earth to kind of go and populate other planets. There are aliens everywhere. We've essentially travelled, light years and light years away, met multiple alien races, and it's just like normal. It's just Dave the alien lives up the road. It's good. This Mass Effect Redemption doesn't really touch on any of the main games. It follows some of the characters from the games, but it's not directly influenced by the games. Again, it's just a good addition. There are multiple comics in the Mass Effect series, so if it's one you enjoy following, your first read, maybe pick up the rest. So going a bit darker now, going into a more horror-based gameplay, I have one of these Silent Hill comics. Now, there are a few Silent Hill comics. Most of them are standalone, which I like in a comic. Makes it nice, quick, and snappy to read. Silent Hill, for any of you that don't know, is quite a dark game. Silent Hill is a fictional place in America, not too sure where there was like an underground coal fire that burned the town. I'm not going to go into too much detail because it's pretty dark and a lot of people probably haven't played Silent Hill. If you watch this, I hope you have. But Silent Hill Sinner's Reward is a really good comic. I can't show you too much of the artwork because, as you'd imagine with Silent Hill, it's pretty graphic. But just a quick glance of one of the easier to look at pages. It's got a really interesting watercolor style work, which I personally really enjoy in a comic. I think most comics tend to follow the same trend, so I find it quite refreshing when you get one that focuses on something slightly different. Silent Hill fans, definitely pick it up. Next up, Star Wars Outlander. So Star Wars probably falls into multiple categories: films, TV shows, games, so you might end up seeing a different Star Wars comic in other videos. Now, I've always been a massive Star Wars fan. Same as most sci-fi geeks, Star Wars is up there as one of the best ever made, if not the best. I picked up any Star Wars comics that I've seen. I've only got a few, actually, surprisingly. I haven't seen as many of them as I would expect, but Outlander is a really good comic. It doesn't follow any of the main Star Wars characters. There are, pop-ups here and there as we go, but it focuses on side characters mainly. Again, I'll show you a bit of the artwork just so you have an idea of what you'd be working into. So these ones are very colourful. They're good for people of all ages, I'd say, but I'd say teenagers and above. I think you do see the odd alien getting cut up, so it's probably not great for the youngest of kids, but they're really good comics, really enjoyable for any Star Wars fans, maybe a good present. Now, the last up for the comics that I'm going to show you is my favourite of the bunch, both in game and in comic, and that is the Witcher comic book series. I am obsessed with the Witcher games. I think it was 100 something hours into Witcher 3, and I still cried a little bit when it ended. So the series is originally a book series written by Andrzej Sapkowski. If you haven't picked them up, they are mainly collections of short stories where the main character, Geralt of Rivia, who's essentially a monster hunter known as a Witcher, goes around hunting monsters and helping towns, essentially. The comics follow in the same vein. This is an ongoing series at the moment. I think there are 3 out at the moment. I know there's at least 1 more to come, so it's not finished yet. So if you're like me and you like to wait for series, maybe hold off. I obviously didn't do that from when I picked these up, but it's such a good series. As I mentioned, this is a Monster Hunter style book, so go into it expecting blood, gore, monsters being chopped up, all that good stuff. I will show you a little bit of the artwork again, so you have an idea. As you can see, it's really colourful, really in your face. Now, the story, from where it's written by a Polish writer, focuses a lot on Polish folklore, which I found really interesting because it's something that I'm not as aware of as I probably should be. But it's a great comic book. My favourite of the bunch so far. Whilst they're all good, there's something that really connects me with The Witcher. Definitely take a look. Leaving comic books behind, I'm going to talk to you now about another love of mine. So I read books, I read comics, and I also read mangas. I've probably read mangas the least out of the lot, not because I don't enjoy them, because I personally love the art style, mainly just because I don't see them in as many shops and things. You know, you have to go and look for them online a lot of the time. Now, this one, as you can see, is the Ocarina of Time by Zelda. Not by Zelda, you know, Ocarina of Time, Zelda. The Zelda series is massive, so you will have most likely seen these before. As the name gives away, this is the manga version of the Ocarina of Time story. The Zelda manga collection, I think, focuses on all of the games and some side stories. I think it's roughly 12 mangas. Don't quote me on that because I haven't actually checked it. I should have probably done some notes before making the video. But this is a really good manga. As this manga obviously reads back to front, same as any manga, but I will show you a bit of the artwork quickly just so you can try and get it censored. Actually quite small. It's Japanese styled, so it is done in the Japanese artwork style, which is, if you're anything like me, something slightly different to what we're used to, but just I love the manga art style personally. I think it's done really well. Any Zelda fans out there, this is just a great little addition to, I'm showing you the back because I'm not used to it. This is a great addition to any shelf. Even if you're looking at buying presents for someone that is a Zelda fan, it's something I highly recommend. You can buy a collection of the books because the series is finished. Definitely take a look. The next series I want to talk to you about is Resident Evil. If you follow me on social media, you'll have seen I put a picture of these up not too long ago. I finished the 5 Resident Evil mangas not too long ago. Really enjoyed them. So these ones follow these ones are the prequel to Resident Evil 6, which is one of the newer Resident Evil games. It focuses on some main characters, but mainly side characters, which I like anyway, because although there are new characters in there, it's still nice to experience something new. Now, the Resident Evil storyline, most of you will be aware of, it is a zombie storyline, which translates really well into a manga art style. I'm going to try and find a page that doesn't show you anything too graphic, given that it is a zombie book. There are definitely blood and gore scenes in there, so if it's something you're sensitive to, or you're buying it for someone that's young, this maybe isn't the manga for them. I'd say it's a definitely teenager and above style. Just to show you the artwork, guys, so you can see. As touched on, this one actually does specify that it's got explicit content, so definitely think about that if you're thinking on buying it for anyone who enjoys manga. This is a 5-book series. It is completely finished. I have all 5 and they are brilliant. I'd recommend it to anyone who's a Resident Evil fan. Maybe this can be your gateway into manga. Saving my favourite for last, I last year played probably my favourite game of all time, which was Persona 5. Now, Persona is a Japanese-led series by a company named Atlus, and they are also making their own mangas. So this isn't the story of Persona 5, this is the story of Persona 4, I believe. This is called Persona Q, Shadow of the Labyrinth. Now, for any of you that aren't aware of the Persona series, what Persona is each story is different, but it follows the same characteristics. Main characters fighting demons, essentially. Your persona and the demons of the story is your inner reflection of yourself. Some people, the good guys, have good personas, which they can use to fight bad personas. So if you picture it as the bad people of the world, their inner demons and their inner views of themselves are their personas, which are reflected. In the Persona Q series, we follow the team of Persona hunters and Persona users trying to fight crime, essentially. I don't want to give you too much of the story just in case you do want to read it. There's a lot of dungeon crawling, a lot of monster fights. The artwork is brilliant. It starts off in colour, and then like a lot of manga series, it fades to black and white, which I personally quite enjoy. And just to show you some of the artwork, out of all of the mangas that I'm showing you, this is probably the most Japanese, given that it's made by a Japanese company. It's brilliant though. I love it. I'm slightly obsessed with the Persona series. I was gutted when the game ended. Team Makoto, if anyone wants to know. Definitely pick up Persona Q. Very, very good series. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It is still ongoing at the moment. I think there are 2 out, with the 3rd one coming out soon, and then I imagine the story will follow on from there. I really hope you've enjoyed the video, everyone. If you're like me and you're a manga or a comic book fan, let me know down in the comments if you've got any suggestions. I'm going to do a similar video to this soon on TV and film tie-ins to comics and graphic novels, so look out for that. I hope you've enjoyed. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.